All right, welcome to July and welcome to Wellness Wednesday and this fabulous July 11th, 2024. My name is Dr. Brett Brimhall. I've been a part of LifeVantage now coming up on close to 10 years, coming up in October, and just excited to share with you guys a little bit of a story tonight. Just briefly, my background, I'm a chiropractor, nutritionist, acupuncturist. I've been teaching physicians since 1995 on a system called the Six Step to Wellness. So I've had a lot of experience in studying vitamins, minerals, nutrition, supplementations, diet, exercise, therapies, and I've worked with a lot of people over the years and to try to help them regain their health. And I'm excited for you to be able to learn a little bit of what we've seen with Eileen and her family and her daughter specifically, because we're going to talk about a subject known as what's called supplementation and activation. And with Eileen, I don't want to tell the whole story, but just know I've worked with Eileen. She kind of raised me in a way. I think in 2003, right, give or take, when we first started working together. And I graduated in December of 2000. So that gives you a little perspective of how long she'd had to raise me. And so I'm just gonna kind of turn over to her, but I really want you to I want you to set the stage for this question. Are you as well as you want to be? And if not, why not? And I truly believe that your level of how good you feel, how well you think, how well you perform, how healthy you are is literally directly proportionate to how activated your cells are. A healthy cell makes up a healthy, tissue, healthy tissue make healthy organs make healthy humans. And activation is a concept of which allows your body to perform as it's meant to. And so I'm going to kind of, Eileen's been, like I said, I've known her a long, long time. We've worked a long time. I've cried with her. I've laughed with her. I've watched her family struggle. I've, had to go to a lot of seminars, bought a lot of equipment over the years, tried to find ways to help her and her family. But Eileen, and thank you so much for being here. I know that you have a lot going on in your life right now, but I know how much passion you have for what you've seen with your own family. And let me maybe give them the perspective of just a little bit of your own journey and what led you to what you're going to show us tonight with Nicole, where she was, and really what her life looked like then, and what her life looks like now.
Excellent.
So just grateful you're here. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I am so excited because I finally believe things can make a difference. Because on my journey of being in naturopathic world for over 23 years, it just felt like I was just surviving. I was just keeping my head above water. So basically, I have three children, and my youngest child was having cognitive challenges of development, and she was very distracted and she was very disconnected with planet Earth, and she would talk completely off topic. She was physically a very scrawny child and just not very strong. Incredibly intelligent, but didn't apply that intelligence because there was a distraction no matter what was going on. Anything could distract her. Just a quick example. I don't know why it popped in my head, but one day we're getting in the car and I'm like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And she opens her door to get in the passenger seat and she stops. And I'm like, come on, let's go. She goes, I'm looking at the ants, Mom. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, please. So basically, we just kept going. We were doing supplements, we were doing chiropractic, massage therapy, cranial sacral therapy, anything that I could get my hands on that I could give to my daughter and also to me and my journey for our best lives. And at this point in my journey, my daughter was 2012. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I can't even think of the math right now, how old she would have been, but basically we got referred to Dr. Daniel Amen in California because I saw some changes in my oldest child of her behaviors dramatically after a car accident. And I've come upon Dr. Amen. And what he does is he scans brains. And with these brain scans, he can correctly identify 7 different types of ADD, ADHD, so he can prescribe you the correct regimen for your type of ADD, ADHD. Well, based on the results that I had with my oldest daughter after the car accident and brain trauma that she experienced, I ended up taking the entire family. So what I'm going to share with you first Well, I have both of them together. I actually don't have them separated. So basically, when I took my youngest daughter to him, her brain is scattered. So I'm going to screen share. And let me tell you this, you guys, at this point in our lives, I did not believe there was any possible way my daughter would ever be independent and that she would be able to have her best life. Is that full screen for you, Brett?
We can see it.
All right, let me try one more time. Nope, sorry. It got all small on me. Okay, is that working? Is it
We
full
can see,
screen?
we can see that it's a little bigger the other time.
All right, I apologize. There we go. If I tried to do that on purpose, making it small, I wouldn't succeed. So basically, this is what we call a healthy brain scan. And what I would just want you to look at, the colors really are not what your brain is, but the most of your brain should be blue, which means moderate activity. Red is higher activity and white is highest activity. So we want our highest activity here in the back of the brain where it processes information. So this is my daughter's brain in 2012. Look how scattered and how uneven the brain is. And all those white spots are distractions. It's high activity. And we actually found that there was more hyperactivity and distraction when she was concentrating than when she wasn't, which means that she does better when she's obviously not under stress. And so anyway, we've done a lot of things over the years. And then in 2014, so this is 2012, in 2014, let me retract. We started Dr. Amon's expensive, great supplements, awesome supplements. Our improvement was just, it was enough for me to keep going on them. Plus we were doing what Dr. Brett was having us do. And so she was taking basically 32 pills a day, morning and night. And it would take us an hour in the morning and it'd take us an hour at night. But we were doing it because we could see little tiny improvements. So activation came into our lives in 2014. I have the full story on another video, another time. But basically within 3 days, her school teachers were emailing me telling me the changes they had seen in her with interaction with the classroom and talking on topic. Those were the first noticeable things. And that was 3 days of starting activation. Within a couple of months, we had so many amazing results that we went straight to activation and I quit giving her Dr. Amon's expensive, great herbs, supplements. And what we have experienced over the last 9 years has been insane. It's exciting. So in May this year, I took her back and they redid her scan. And so this is the one with the dark blue colors. And I want you to look at the symmetry of the brain for one thing, but then look at the activity and how it has calmed down and it's focused in on a couple of places. And now we are specifically addressing those places in the brain. But that's what's exciting. So I get asked a lot, oh, should I take my child to Dr. Amon or should I go to Dr. Amon? You know, if you want to see the physical results of this, yes. Do I recommend his things? I'm going to say they are awesome, but activation beats it hands down and for a fraction of the cost. So Brett, I'll let you go ahead, and where else do you want me to go with that?
So you don't have to read these, like, no, but what's always fascinating, think about individuals, it's like when they concentrate, they get worse, right? When they get stressed, they get worse. And it's very unique that you can have, like, be able to see images before and after like this. It's just, it's expensive to get it done. But like, so looking at her brain scan, this one on 2012 to start with, like, so when she went to focus, the whole brain lit up, which means the part of the brain that was supposed to be able to like focus and concentrate, it could not. It's just too much information, right? But when you go to 2024, now when she does focus, it lights up where it's supposed to light up, right? So here's what I want people to understand. Like, and again, keep in mind, like this is a young girl that she struggled just getting through school. Like she struggled getting through school. She struggled with focus. She struggled, like, we were excited one day when she went to Subway to order her own food, like where let her take the book in the library the first time, to where she is today, right? She's now in Utah, live in Arizona. She moved to Utah to go to college for children that are trying to integrate into like society, like autism, right? So that was never something we thought would be possible where she'd be able to live on her own, right? And it was because of activation. We spent really 10 years, right? 2003 to 2014, so 12 years, right? 11 years of doing supplementation, like giving the body what we thought it needed to perform its task. Activation is different, right? So activation is you're using very specific products that are designed to turn on very specific cellular switches to where the brain can perform and learn, retain, remember, and recall. Which what that means is progression, right? And so we saw that from a clinical standpoint. We were watching her like you know taking forethought, doing more things, hygiene, taking care of herself, handling stress more difficult. Like one I think one of my favorite stories, Eileen, is the Santa Claus story, right? And why don't you tell that real quick? Because it's just a point in case, like, I mean, I don't know, we should probably be afraid of an old man that's probably in a red suit, really, but like kind of share and the Easter Bunny, share that really quick because I want to
Okay.
kind of summarize.
All right. So basically, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. When Nicole was 3, we were at the mall at Easter, and she would not get on the escalator to go down. And I finally understood that it was Easter Bunny that was in the middle of the courtyard. From there, I started to comprehend and understand she disliked anybody dressed up. Ronald McDonald, Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, anybody who Disneyland. She loves Disney, but she didn't want to see any of the characters. So basically, we started on these products the end of November, and she's 17, a 10th grader in high school. She comes home in December, mid-December, so only like 2 or 3 weeks, and she goes, "Mom, guess what happened today?" And I said, "What?" She goes, "Santa Claus came to school for the pep rally." And my heart sank, you guys. I am a helicopter mom. I I want to protect my daughter from any emotional challenges. And she goes, "But Mom, I didn't feel like running." And I was like, that is weird, because just 6 months earlier, we were with a Special Olympics event and Ronald McDonald came. She not only had to be removed from the gymnasium, she had to be removed from the building before she could calm herself down. And so then the next day we had a Santa Claus we had a party for Special Olympics, and Santa Claus was there. She loves to dance on the floor, and it couldn't have been more than a 12 feet wide floor. She's out there dancing, doing her thing, and I see Santa Claus walk in, and I literally took my hands and I held on to my chair, trying not to react, and just let her react for herself and not go off of my anxiety of it. And what happened, Santa Claus danced 6 feet away from her. She froze, and she just did this for 3 whole songs, looking up and down and up and down. He left the floor. She continued dancing. Mind blowing to recover from a situation, to be that close to him for one thing, but then to recover so quickly. I couldn't explain it. It was so cool. And I just watched it get better and better and better.
So throw that slide up one more time. Let me show you guys something really
Yeah.
quick. Um, so like at the end of the day, like whether you do these scans or not doesn't matter on people. But what is unique? I remember when Eileen shared this with me. Like we are seeing this stuff clinically where she was progressing, right? Think about in life if somebody's progressing. And so on this one on the left side, which says 2012, when she goes to concentrate, like you see all the bright areas, just like everything goes bright and white. Remember, white's the highest level activity. When 2024, so we're talking about really 12 years later of 10 of which, almost 9 of which of activation, her brain performed under stress. So think about somebody in life that's having a hard time moving forward, whether this is, hey, I'm just overwhelmed with life, or I feel like I can't concentrate, I can't focus. Well, now her brain is performing and can think through and task. And most of what your brain does is what's called inhibit. Basically, it basically filters and decides. So it has to block out everything that's not important and focus on what's important. Right. So with her, when Santa Claus showed up, everything went out the window, right? But with the activation, her brain now can say, "Oh, look, like the dude in the red suit. I'm gonna watch him because he's kind of creepy looking, right? But I can stay where I am and I can go on dancing later." So think about that in the world. The people ask all the time, "Well, what did you give her, Eileen? What?" So we obviously before you and she was on 32 guys. Get in mind, she was on 32 different supplements a day. Like that's what her daughter was taking. We were trying to affect all the cells processes the best we could, but we didn't know about the process of activation. So supplementation is I have a deficiency. I don't have vitamin D, vitamin B12, or what vitamin C, right? So that's supplementation. Activation is what LifeVantage created is using combination of herbs that turn on cellular switches, so it turned on cellular processes. And by doing that, like I know we started her on the Axial, which is a brain drink designed to address brain fatigue. So in her case, the brain fatigue looked like overwhelm and what led to diagnoses, but hard time focusing, couldn't concentrate, wasn't progressing in learning and retaining information, not being on task. We Axial and the Protandim Nerve 2, which is designed to help the body handle the inflammatory processes in the body. Combining those two things is where we started, and then you added in the Nerf 1.
Right, as everything was released from LifeVantage, we have just added 1 and 1. So Probio would have been next, the probiotic for the gut, and then we had Nerf 1, and then NAD, a daily wellness, prebiotic. I mean, she even does the collagen. Everything has just upped it one more step. And I also want to share, Dr. Brett, that I actually took Nicole off of all the products for 8 days.
Oh yes, yeah, share this story.
Yeah, before we went to Dr. Amon's clinic again, because I wanted to see what her brain was doing without the extra support.
Yeah.
And so to me, what those scans say is this is her brain now, and the support still helps her, and it takes us another level. But this was
so let me repeat that if you guys didn't get that. So she took her daughter off the products for 8 days before the scan because she wanted to know, okay, what's the permanent still. Her first scan was basically what her brain was performing like with those nutrients. The second scan you saw in 2024, she took her off products for over a week. So it wasn't what she was actively getting, it's what her brain was now currently doing on its own without daily activation. Now, I think it's silly to be not activated daily, but she wanted to know, which I think was brilliant, right? But then she was able to, you have that cognitive test?
oh yeah, let me pull
Right,
that
so
up.
let me show you one of the slides because then Eileen was curious. I'm like, oh well, she's like, I wonder what happens. Does it change if we keep her activated, right? Specifically the axial. Because people always ask, well, how long do I need to stay on stuff? I'll kind of answer that in a second, but I'm gonna have her pull this up because Eileen's very a school teacher by nature, and so she's kind of like, I wonder how it works. All right,
1 second, I've got to shrink
I don't want to
this.
spoil the show, but so she want to know like, well, this is what her brain's like, what activation is done in 12 years, but like, what would happen if we continue to activate her brain? Is there a benefit to stay doing it? Right, and they let her go back and take what's called a cognitive test. So basically, there's tests where you answer questionnaires to see how brain performs, and so she did that test before the scan, and then again they let her come back and do that cognitive test again
With the Axio in her
with
body.
the Axio on board.
Yeah,
So
now I've
you got
got
baby on board, you got Axio on board. So you want Axio on board.
All right, I found it. I just got to flip through all these screens again here. Okay, here it is.
Spence is building.
There we go. Is that large enough?
See if you can expand it a little bit. I mean, if not, you can blow it up on your screen, but maybe talk through what you saw here. Oh, that's beautiful.
Okay. So basically the one on the left was the one without the Axio, and this was, they put her in front of a computer, and I don't know what they had her do. It was 45 minutes long, I can tell you that. But her memory,
like a brain quiz, like a brain performance quiz. That's what it is.
okay. So if you look at her memory right here, and Nicole has an amazing memory. We were really shocked with some of these numbers on how low they are. And then we went back, we drank Axio the next day, and we went back the next day and did the exact same test. And look how far the marker moved from there to there. And on this one, it moved from there to there. I mean, and this one is huge. I can't even read it. I'm sorry. I don't know how to make it bigger.
That's all right. But here's what I want people to get. Like, I'm glad you did this because like people ask, well, is it beneficial to stay using Axio? Is it beneficial to stay activating yourself? And I'm just glad you did this because now you'll see there's probably a few that didn't move as much as you thought they would. But like what this showed me is that there's benefits to doing activation daily and how you perform daily. Now, but if you don't do it daily for long enough, for instance, let's say in her case, if she only activated for like 6 months or a year, I think she would gain some ground, but she wouldn't have gained the ground of 9 years. So, I think of it like this: if you're going to exercise, the longer you exercise, the more permanent the changes become, right? Positive or negative. The more you do anything positive or negative, the more permanent the changes become. When you talk about brain performance, right, you can see it in that scan. And we've watched that in where she's at. Like even the other day, normally she has a hard time confronting things, and she confronted a situation where she was super proud of herself and what she did. And that is not one that she would typically advocate for herself, right? And that's, so I go back to that statement I made earlier. Your level of health and wellness, mentally, physically, emotionally, in my opinion, is directly proportionate to your level of activation, like how activated your cell processes are. So if this is a new concept to you, like I want you to like talk with whoever invited you and have a little deeper dive conversation. That the short answer is not all vitamins and minerals are created equal. What, and in the sense is, yes, both in how they absorb and how they work and how you combine them to put together. When you combine things in the right way and they've been studied and shown to turn on very specific systems in the body to perform at a higher level, you're increasing the potential that that cell has to handle the inflammation, to turn on the energy production and improve cellular communication. And then apply that to Axio, which is a brain drink designed to affect how the brain focuses and learns. But if you can't learn, retain, remember, recall, that's all a brain process, right? So if your body can't learn, it's really hard, and it can't retain, it's really going to hard to learn, and definitely hard to recall. But if your brain's working together, it can do that, and that's where progression takes place. Whether that's progression in watching a child perform and progress in learning, or whether that's us like progressing in handling stress, progressing in handling a difficult situation, or trying to get better in certain academics, or even in some type of job. Like that progression has to happen for your brain to learn. And so I just thought that's a unique story where you guys could see that from a picture, like not something we expected. But what that confirms to me is that these are permanent changes. Like if Nicole quit using these products, that brain that she's had is it will change, and she'll continue to function at a much higher level than she ever would have without activation. But I also believe that if you are still alive and you want to function at your best and handle stress at your best, maintaining activation is going to help your body consistently improve. Real quick, Eileen, I'm going to put you on the spot because I know with you, you've had your own experience with activation. And maybe give them a recap of what you've personally, like what your life looked like, to 2014 as far as your physical and mental abilities, with us doing all the supplementation, right? Versus what you're physically feeling like now.
Okay. So basically, by 2014, I had sustained some handicaps and some other things from being in the hospital multiple times and having my body have all these inflammation and destructing my body, basically. And when I started on these products, I was actually living on a couch about 9 hours a day. And I would do one task and I'd lay back down because I was one task Eileen. If I made dinner, there was no cleaning it up. And so that's just the way my life was. And everybody adjusted to it. And so I started on these products, and within 6 weeks, I started having more sensation because I'm also have numbness in my body. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's weird. And then in another 2 weeks, I could notice some more things happening. And then I found myself being off the couch more. I found myself being able to drive at night again, where I wasn't driving at night for the previous probably 3 or 4 years. And I couldn't believe that I actually went into Brett and I said, is this stuff real? Because I have taken so many things and done so many therapies with promises and hope that I actually had given up hope. And I was just like, I don't believe anybody anymore. I really don't. I can see the science. I can see that. I want to see results and experience them. Well, here I am, oh my gosh, 9 years later, and I'm living my best life. I get to live life vertical. I am on my own. I still have handicaps, but it doesn't matter, because you know what? When you have handicaps and you feel good inside, you can deal with things. But when you have handicaps and you don't feel good inside, and then you just Oh, I hate it. You just go to that rabbit hole so easily. And so I can deal with things that happen in my life. I can deal with the bumps in the road. My future is bright. I am so excited for my future. I'm not running marathons, but I don't need to because I get to live life. And I've been traveling, which is a complete dream of mine. I love traveling and seeing other cultures and experiencing them. And I just love where I'm going.
Then you're amazing there. And you guys, just to try to recap in a few minutes what we've seen in her world and her family world is, again, if I hadn't experienced it and been and looked at what activation is, I wouldn't believe it. Surely I wouldn't, because of what I've seen. So what I say is, like, number one, if this is a new concept to you, check it out. But the longer you wait to activate your body, when they activate is these are specific, supplements that are designed to activate the cellular processes. The sooner, and I take them. Yeah, people ask, well, who will benefit? Anybody that's alive, any mammal that's alive could benefit. Now, how are you going to feel the benefit? That just depends on what you have going on, because like how you feel and function today, how well you sleep, how much energy you have, how mentally, stable you feel, how much mental quality you have, all that relates to how well your cells are functioning, right? And so, and you may not feel anything, right? But I hope I don't feel anything in the negative, right? Because unfortunately, the number one symptom that people have of a heart attack is you're dead, right? So we need to move past this idea of I'm going to feel something, is you want to actually sometimes get to where you don't feel certain things. And so I've taken this thing preventatively for close to 10 years now, purely because of what I've seen in individuals like Eileen, like I've seen her daughter, and really hundreds of clients of mine and people that I've now worked with throughout the world, because activation is different. Activation changes how your cells perform, gives them the capacity to perform better than they have in the past, because we're not guessing if we're giving you the right nutrients for the right process. We're addressing the process. And that's a very unique concept. And if you're out there looking for help for yourself, you need to start asking your physicians those questions. Do you know about activation? How do these activate my cellular processes? What kind of research is behind them? What kind of clinical experience have you seen with what you've used? And it's just nice to have that level of confidence. So Eileen, thank you for taking the time. I know you had a really crazy day, really crazy week.
I have one more thing.
Oh, of course you
What
do.
you were saying, you reminded me. So Nicole had her bucket of supplements. I had my bucket of supplements because we have two different symptoms that we were expressing, right? When we went on activation, she takes the same activators that I do, and we both experience the results. And so that's something that I want to share because our symptoms are completely different.
And so, and I love you brought that up, because think about this way, because however and in medicine, this is how it works. You go to the doctor, you get a diagnosis based on a group of symptoms. That's just how it works, okay? Because then they base this through the symptoms to a diagnosis to a treatment plan. Well, here's the reality. If your body can't make energy and it can't repair and the cells can't communicate, something's going to break down. Whatever starts breaking down is what symptoms you have, which leads to certain diagnosis with treatments you get. Foundationally speaking, if you can't make energy, if you have way too much inflammation and your cells can't communicate, they get distressed, then they get dysfunctional, then they get diseased, and then they die. That's just how it works. All right. So if we could foundationally improve how the body handles inflammation, if we can improve how the cells make energy by improving mitochondrial function, and we can improve how the cells communicate and then support the systems around it, then your cells can improve and be activated, and perhaps then the things that you're experiencing no longer you'll experience, because the processes are working differently when now the cells are communicating and coordinating, and they're a happy family again. Remember, healthy cell, healthy tissue, healthy organ, healthy human. And just how it works. So foundationally, if we can do that, we're gonna be a lot more healthy to humans. So, but you guys, we appreciate you being on here tonight. If this is helpful, please share this with someone that you care about and love. If you don't like them, don't share it with them, because they'll live longer. Probably that's one of the studies. So, but don't do that. Okay, that would be bad. But appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a phenomenal evening. And Eileen, again, thank you so much for taking your time to do this. And you're impacting many, so appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Good night,
Okay.
guys.
Good night, guys.
Thank you, you guys. That was wonderful.